These events take place as a part of the Ukrainian Memory Week organized by Vice in Berlin. The discussion aims to challenge the narrative around the Second World War and Soviet victory, especially the idea that the history belongs only to Russia. And today, we're going to focus on the Roma in the context on the Second World War in Ukraine. Historical experiences, some persecution, memory, some contemporary effort in preserving and representing Roma history and culture. And yeah, and first of all, I would like to sincerely thank you, Vicha, for this initiative and for making the Roma voice included into this discussion, important discussion of the memory and history. And with this, I would like to give the floor to Yeva Yakubovska, a board member of Vicha, who will say a bit more about the project and the Memory Week and purpose of today's event. Yeva, please.
Thank you so much, Petro. Thank you for these kind words. And indeed, for us, it's very important that you are also part of our first edition Ukrainian Memory Week. And when I say in our, I mean, of course, many of those who has joined and become a partner of this initiative. And of course, we hoping that the next year it would be even more and we will make it bigger and more stronger, because the idea behind creating Ukrainian Memory Week started, I think, even before 2022, but specifically with the full-scale invasion, the need of commemoration, which is intersecting the past Second World War, but also current war, started to be more closer even to the body, I would say, in this very humanistic sense. And this, with each year coming, especially being in Berlin, we've seen that Ukrainian voices are not present, they are not there, they are not being remembered. They often captured by the Soviet narratives, Soviet propaganda, Russian centristic view, even talking to Union as so to say, connection between different countries in that time. And that's why we decided that we want to create this memory space, and not necessarily only as a physical one, but also metaphorical one. So once per year for a week, we meant to collect different voices who are recreating the memory of 20th century, which was a very difficult century as many others for Ukrainian community. And also what does mean Holocaust, what does mean Paraimos inside this, how this memory is being shaped now, how it's influenced today's day. So, and it's a bit bridge to the conversation which we'll have today. And I'm incredibly happy to also listen to this, because I think it's what we all learning together. And I hope that by this, we also create in future inclusive cultural remembrance in Ukraine, about Ukraine outside, not the dominance and imperialistic as Russia and Soviet Union did for us, yes, in the past. So it's about future. So it was a short, not short introduction to the idea behind. I hope with this time people used to join more our Zoom meeting. And I would like to give back the microphone to Petro Rosanenko. And I actually want to introduce you, because not everyone knows how incredible you are. And we're super thankful that you're joining and being a part of this event as moderator. Petro Rosanenko, an actor, producer, community coordinator at the European Roma Institute for Arts and Culture, and also a board member of the European Film Academy.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Yeva. And thank you once again to Vici for organizing this space for us and bringing together different perspectives with the broader conversation about the memory culture in Ukraine and in the Europe itself. And I will take a minute just to briefly introduce our speakers today. So please meet Natalie Tomenko. Natalie, please say hi, let everyone see you. Natalie is a researcher in Roma cultural heritage. She's a co-founder of NGO Aura and deputy director of NGO Arka. Volodymyr Yakovenko. Volodya, civil society activist and also an executive director of ARCA NGO. And we also have one speaker who is Natalia Zinevich. She's a PhD historian, senior research fellow, and co-founder of Culture Action. However, unfortunately, she cannot join the meeting today because she just recently had a car accident, and God bless, everything is fine with her, but unfortunately, she'll not be able to join us. Um, well, so with this, I would like to start the discussion in the practices, maybe contemporary practices of the memory, of the commemoration, of the documentation. I think it's important for us first to establish the historical context of the Roma experience during the Second World War and how it's commemorated itself. With this, I would like to invite Volodymyr to say a few words because you have a lot of experience, especially in the commemoration part and preserving and saving the memory. Uh, yeah, the floor is yours.
Yeah. So for me, firstly, it's not only history, but it's also the story of my family. Because in the period of the Second World War, my family from the father's side were struggling because of the uh, Nazi killed the first husband of my grandmother, and also her two children died because she must hide. Sorry, I forgot some words in English. Переслідування.
Yeah,
Uh,
basically, hide from the
Persecution.
yeah,
Nazi
yeah,
execution.
yeah. So they hide because of the prosecution, and two children die. The other side of my family, and actually that part of the history, actually we don't see in the narrative of the history of Ukraine, or in the history of the Second World War, that my grandfather, he also was the part of Red Army, and he fight against the Nazi. So, and not only my grandfather, a lot of Roma participate in the uh, sorry. A lot of Roma participate in the regular army, Red Army, and a lot of Roma participate in the partisan.
And yeah.
Yeah. So, uh, I will repeat that it's not just for me. It's not just the history. It's the stories of my family, which I even started to know when I grow up, around 12, 14 years. I suddenly start to hear from my mother the stories about what we had in our family in the period of the Second World War. And unfortunately, my grandparents, they pass away early, and they couldn't tell me their story of their life. And it's pushed me to think, what if I started to know about the Roma, and in the period of the Second World War, if I started to know about the Roma genocide only when I grew up and I was 14 years old, what the other people know about the Roma genocide? And from the 14, 15, I like make it my private research, and I try to get the family stories. Where was my family in the period of Second World War? Where was my grandparents? Where was their relatives? So I make it my personal research. And when I asked them, why you never speak about it before, they told who cares about these stories? To whom we should tell it? Because all of the almost every Roma family in Ukraine, they struggled in the period of the Second World War, and but between each other they know this story. To speak to some bigger auditory, they doesn't have some opportunity, and actually nobody, I mean the bigger auditory non-Roma from the non-Roma community, they didn't interest in this topic. And also the Soviet unity pushed the narrative, so doesn't care which ethnicity you had. All the Soviet Union citizens, we are struggled, we are fight against the Nazism. So it doesn't matter what kind of troubles you had in the past. And
Yeah.
now, yeah.
Go ahead. I have a question.
So yeah, and it's mean that in the period of the Soviet Union, actually nobody from the Roma community can loud speak about their past, how they survive in the period of the genocide and the persecution, what they did, and actually only after that Soviet Union was destroyed and after Ukraine had independence, Roma activists found the voice to speak about their past and about their present and about their future. So, Roma activists started to look for the different opportunity how we can to speak about the Roma genocide, how we can represent it in the to the auditory, to the non-Roma community. And actually, I think that Natalie Zinevich should speak about it, but unfortunately she is not here, and uh, she should tell to auditory about the experience, for example, about the Roma wagon, Romska kibitka. It's like monument what now stay in the Babin Yar in Kiev. Who doesn't know? It's the place for the mass killing in the Kiev, and mostly people know this place as the place for the mass killing of the Jewish, but very less number of the people know that the first people who was killed there, it was the five
Mhm.
Roma caravans. It's around 500 people, and it was in the beginning, and after it this mass killing was continued few years in this place, and we even doesn't know the correct number of people who was died there.
Yeah.
And yeah, your question.
Yeah, Volodya, I just wanna drive your talking points to the basically nowadays, because that's actually a very natural question that yeah kind of appears in my mind about the memory, how memory is created and represented and communicated today actually, because I mean we know that there is many academic research are existing, but also there is a lot of exhibitions already exist, commemorative initiatives, and I know that you have you are quite experienced in those things. So I just want to ask you to share more about how the memory is preserving now and how it's communicated to the people, to the broader audience.
It's like actually what I want to tell you, but before, after that situation in Babir Yar, because it's like example. Why I started to tell about the Babin Yar, that in 1994, the relatives of people who was killed in Babir Yar started to think how we can commemorate the Roma who was killed there. And they collected money for the creation of the Roma monument, what we now see and know as the Roma wagon, what stay in the memorial center of Babin Yar. But after that Roma collected money and make that kind of monument, local government like Kiev government, they didn't give permission to put this monument in that place, and they told for the activist не перетворюйте це місце в общежитие. Тобто, translate that, don't make this place as a dormitory, yeah. And it's mean that in the public narrative, nobody doesn't wanted to know something about the Roma genocide and didn't support. Even after that Roma community tried to make it. And only in 2015, in the pressing of the EU, because of Ukraine wanted to be part EU, this monument finally, after almost 20 years, this monument was put on the place where he should be. And only after 2015, Ukrainian government started openly discuss with the Roma activists about the commemoration of the Roma genocide in Ukraine. But also I need to say that Ukraine, one country from the fourth, what recognize Roma genocide officially as and 2nd of August as a day for the commemoration of the Roma who was died and was killed in the period Second World War. So in one hand, it's good. In the second hand, this law was taken in 2004, and only in 2015 it started in some way implemented. And also it's started implemented only because the Roma activists and EU start pushing it. In that case, the Roma activists, we also started to look for the how we can speak with the Ukrainians about the Roma genocide, how we can share this information, because as I told and as I understand from my speech, that mostly Ukrainian society doesn't know about the Roma genocide, what happened in the territory of Ukraine in the period of the Second World War with the Roma minority. And one of the way to speak and share about it with the Ukrainian society, it's creative way. Like to make some movie, to make some theater театральні постановки, theater performance, to make some exhibition. Actually, what our organization doing from 2018 until now.
Let me then also ask Natalie, what kind of still needs to be changed, maybe in curriculum, in education, in museums, in archives, in the public commemorations, to become more visible?
Thank you for the question, Petro. And I will join Volodymyr's quote about that Ukrainian society doesn't know much about Roma genocide. Not only them. When we are going regularly to meetings in German Ministry of Foreign Affairs, some members of parliament also don't know about these facts, and it's shocking because the persecutors themselves don't know whom were their victims. And during these personal meetings, we make an educational lectures to them. It's not our job, but that's what we are pushed to do, unfortunately. So when we come back to Ukrainian context and we talk about how we can improve situation of visibility of this remembrance of Roma genocide, we are trying to create educational material. So our organization created several resources, and one of which we are really proud of is our book. The Earth was shaking. I can share now the link in the chat, and also previously I shared with you some links. If our audience is interested, you can look what we are producing and how. But the main idea, how we do it, we collect testimonies of Roma genocide survivors. Those elderlies who are still alive, we are collecting their video testimonies since 2022. These efforts were done with different organizations previously, but now we are taking a more, I would say, academic approach. We have very good advisors. We created a great methodology how to do it, and we are collecting as much as possible. The idea is to produce educational materials as books, as movies, Volodymyr mentioned, theater performances, and push all this data into schools as non-formal education first, but then push it to be included in school curriculum. We are having discussions with Ministry of Education, with different institutions, for instance, with State Service for Ethnopolitics, DES, who are helping us with that. And we hope that following years, the situation will be changed, that Roma genocide will be spoken on the same level as Jewish Holocaust, because both of these ethnical groups, unfortunately, were victims, but they are not presented on the same level in the national discourse. That's what should be changed, and that's what actually will change within the creation of new museum in Babin Yar after the war. We will try to make sure that narratives about Roma genocide included equally. That is one of the central part of exhibition. That's why right now we are collecting these testimonies and creating digital archive, which in the end will be in physical form as a permanent exhibition in Babin Yar or maybe in other institutions. But yeah, I think we and other activists are doing a lot right now within the circumstances of full-scale invasion. We are still not giving up, and actually we mobilized our sources. And yeah, I think now or never, because now is also time of war. Now we are in a position to change the narrative, and we cannot do it alone. So Roma, we were doing it for centuries, and now we need help. within the Ukrainian society to support us, to finally acknowledge the Roma are part of Ukrainian society. Many defenders right now, Roma soldiers in ZSU, Ukrainian armed forces. So now we do it finally, at least to do it now.
Natalie, and do you think, and if so, how then memorials or exhibitions or testimonies that you are collecting, visual storytellings, can change the public understanding?
From example of our exhibition that we opened previous year in Babin Yar, and it's exhibition Invisible. You can see the link in the chat. And actually, this exhibition will be shown this year in 3 cities of Ukraine. We will have opening on 4th of June in Odessa. So those who are interested, please visit it. Then it will be opening in Lviv and by the end of the year in Kiev again. We see that this exhibition made a real impact previous year. A lot of members of diplomats, different embassies, Ukrainian ministry, and just regular people from schools, teachers, regular visitors of exhibitions just went through, and they were shocked by the data that was presented there because it's personal stories of people. And when people get to know stories of the same people, so they acknowledge that Roma, they are also Ukrainians. Their stories are not so unique and different from their grandparents. And somehow it creates a social cohesion between Ukrainian society and this access of information that we are providing. That's kind of something valuable, I think we do, and for sure we will continue to do it. And yeah, this approach of uniting Ukrainian society, Jewish people, Roma, Crimean Tatars, North Azovian Greeks, because we are all Ukrainians and should be all our story and history be acknowledged on national level. That's how pictures can become stronger and faster to win this war.
This is quite clear that the memory is not something abstract. It's actually very deeply connected to the community, to the personal history, stories, cultural work. But I also want to understand what makes the Ukrainian context specific exactly. What was different from the other countries?
If I may respond on behalf of one of our colleagues, Mikhailo Taglay, researcher of Roma genocide, who right now on the front lines fighting for Ukrainian sovereignty. He was writing in his article that in Ukraine, the Roma genocide was different to European countries on some specifics as because it was genocide by bullets, meaning that in central eastern part of Ukraine, Roma were eliminated on places of mass killings as Babin Yar in Chernigov, in Kremenchuk. We have almost in every city the place of mass killings. In western Ukraine, Roma were deported to concentration camps as Auschwitz-Birkenau and further Dachau. But the specific is like that because in concentration camps, at least there were a list of people who were eliminated and could be after the war somehow tracking down. Situation with Ukraine, we don't have lists of victims, so we don't know the actual number. And as Mikhail Taglay says, it's around 50,000 were killed during the 40s. Roma in Ukraine, but we are not sure that this number are accurate, so it's really much more.
Thank you, Natalie. Probably here the place to say important in general to bring this parallel, like Mikhail Taglay is defending now Ukraine on the front line. That is also important to say that Roma were always involved into defending of the countries whenever they lived, and the same as now. Maybe you could tell a bit some samples, maybe present samples about Roma soldiers, or maybe in the Second World War, because there is a big mysteria that Roma are not visible in the army itself, but we know that they are there.
So Volodymyr can share about past because his relatives were fighting during the Second World War. My relatives right now are fighting in a current war. My uncle is on front line, so I can say to you that we regard Ukraine as our country and we defend it same as other Ukrainians. So on the front line there is no ethnicity. There is just death or life, and we choose life. Volodymyr?
Yeah,
Before
actually,
Vladimir,
oh,
just a second, sorry, before you jump, I just want to tell to our participants that you are very welcome to send your questions to the chat, and we would love to answer on them. Yeah, go ahead, sorry.
actually, all the countries where Roma lives, the government in the crisis situation like war, they like to use Roma to participate in the army to make some things for the this country where they live. And if we speak about the Second World War, we have like examples from the German side and where in army was participate Josef Trollmann, who was the champion of Germany in the box and in the box fight, and in the same time he was the German Sinti and he was the part of the army, and but unfortunately he was die in the concentration camp. Why he was part of the German army? Because he felt that he is part of the German society. But in the same time, German society didn't uh, take him as the part of this society. The same we have in the Soviet Union period. If we speak about my family also, my grandfather, he fought on the Russian Empire side in the First World War. My grandfather, he fought in the Red Army in the side of the Soviet Union. And as Natalie mentioned, some of our relatives, they are fighting now in the side of Ukraine. And yesterday we got sad news about that the Roma soldier who participated in the Ukrainian army. Yesterday he was killed in front line. It means that Roma feel themselves as the part of the society. We feel that Ukraine is our country. We was born here. But the other question, do the Ukrainian government accept us? Do the Ukrainian society accept us? And it's a big question mark and without answer. But we have opportunity for this moment to change it. And why we should to speak about the past? Because if we don't speak about the past, we will don't have the future in this country. So if we don't speak about the I like to tell it again and again repeated that people, and it doesn't matter it's about Ukraine or about some other country, the people doesn't learn our history, because if we learn the history, if we know what happened in the past, we didn't do the same mistake in the future. It means that people didn't learn about the information about the Second World War. The people didn't learn information how people struggled in that period, how many people was die in that period. If we know the society, the people in the world know it and learn it. We don't have this war what we have now in Ukraine and around the world.
Um, it brings me to the thought that we are still in danger to be forgotten in this war, even though we know about the Roma participating in the army, defending the country, etc., etc. But we still are not enough visible in this war, and how we can make sure that we learn the mistake from mistakes and we wouldn't repeat the same scenario as after the Second World War when Roma were not mentioned even though they have a genocide. They were not included in the curriculum of the school and other educational materials. And literally, Roma people need to fight for the space in the memory.
If I may jump in here, how we fight, in particularly nowadays. This year we participated in UN commemoration of Holocaust, where presented different minorities, and it was first time in history when Roma from Ukraine had a voice. It was very political way to represent our country and Roma there, and I was personally there presenting testimony of my grandmother because both of my grandparents used to be survivors from the Second World War, and giving real stories of our families nowadays in political arena gives us the space. We are finally not uh, we are not who are discussed about, but we are the one who are at the table right now. And it was also a very political move because after our Ukrainian speech was a Russian speaker, ambassador, and I can say to you that it was our honor to leave the room while he was speaking. So I can say that Roma nowadays are fighting on political diplomatic arena as well, not just on the front line. And that's the example how memory, topic of memory is brought nowadays into political discussions and how it can be a strong weapon to win this also falsifications of the history and so on, because we have real testimonies, real people who are talking about the crimes that were done then and now. And by this data that will be preserved, hopefully for future generations, no one will mislead us because we have proofs.
I'm happy to hear that. Dear participants, we announced a very short session for 45 minutes and we are about to finish, so you still have the chance to ask your questions in the comment chat. Also, take a look on all those links that Natalie and Volodymyr sent to you to educate yourself more about the Roma participating in the both wars, in the Second World War and present with the Russia. And before we go to the finish, I would like each of our speakers briefly share maybe one final thought or takeaway, perhaps something for the audience to remember after today's discussion, if there is any.
If
Maybe.
it's a question for us,
Yeah. That's
and
basically
what we can.
invitation for the speakers to share your thought or takeaway.
Thank you, Petra. Overall, thank you for this discussion, to you moderating it, and to Vice giving a space within this commemorative week, specific dedication to Roma topic. For us, it's finally a bridge that we are building. We're seeing results, and hopefully this tradition will be followed next year, and we are glad to contribute on behalf of ARCA, of Aura, and whenever is needed. And I just want to add that the work that we are doing with Vice, it should be not exceptional one. So we are inviting all other Ukrainian, German NGOs to include in their projects, in their agenda, topic of Roma genocide, in case they are doing projects connected to Holocaust, because it's inevitable. And as much as more we share between each other on daily basis about these crimes, hopefully less of them will be done in future. Thank you for the discussion.
Thank you, Natalie. Volodymyr, any takeaway points?
Actually, I don't know what to add to the words of what Natalie already says. Just one thing, and also it's the answer to your question that what we can to do that in this case that Roma now fighting in the Ukraine army, protect Ukraine, and that what they are doing not be forgotten in the future, as we have case with the period of the Second World War. Actually, this meeting, what we have today, that we are speaking about it now, it's mean that we are already doing something, and hopefully for the future, it's never will be forgotten.
Thank
Thanks.
you so much. Thank you. And I would like to sincerely thank you to our speakers, not only for the historical knowledge, your professional experience, but also to sharing your personal stories, how you were preserving the memory from your families. And finalizing our discussion, today's discussion showed that memory and remembrance is not only about the past. It's about the visibility as well for the nowadays. It's about the responsibilities. It's about representation. Um, it's a question of whose stories become part of the public history and whose stories remain forgotten. And I think it is especially important when this discussion happen not only through the Roma community, but also through the broader European memory, culture, and broader audience. And thank you for for to Vice, basically, to creating the space and giving it for the Roma voices. And of course, thank you everyone who find the time and join us today. I just give floor to Yeva as a board member of Vice for final words. And yeah, and thank you from my side. Yeva.
Thank you, Petro. You always join our sometimes very short notice initiatives. And with the short notice, I would like also to invite you to our following event coming tonight as well in Berlin. It would be book presentation and discussion of the book by Tamara Hundrova, Transit Culture and Postcolonial Trauma in Palecký Institute, Berlin. And tomorrow we will see each other, I hope, those who are in Berlin for the performative Remembrance March, Ukraine in Memory, from Friedrichstraße to Bundestag. And from my side, also thank you to all who join us here in Zoom, in YouTube, in all possible social media, but most of all for Petrov, amazing moderation, and also Natalia and Volodymyr for joining us. With the pleasure looking for what you are contributing, creating, and doing, and saying you, I mean, three of you, and hope that next time we would be also able to meet Natalia, who maybe that's a good sign that we need to continue to do this and do this more often and include more people. So thank you so much, and see you on following events.